Now when Mercury goes 8th house from Saturn, which means Saturn is now 6th house from Mercury. Now this is a tricky placement, but it is slightly different from 6-8 placement. This is different from Mercury going 6th from Saturn. Mercury is in the 8th from Saturn. Mercury in the 6th from Saturn is slightly better placement, because in the 6th house Mercury is replicating the placement of Mercury being a planet being in Virgo sign in the Kalpurash Kundi. So Mercury 6th from Saturn is a better placement for Mercury. However, if Mercury is 8th from Saturn, what does this mean? It means now Mercury has gone into the 8th house of obstacles, the challenges, of problems, of upheavals, and Saturn has gone 6th house from Mercury. Now Saturn in the 6th house is a more protective placement. Saturn will allow you to bring in the ability to be able to protect you in your career, in your work, in your service. But Mercury has gone, mind you, 8th from Saturn. So Mercury is not bad in the 8th house. But what Mercury sometimes does in the 8th house is, what is the 8th house? 8th house is darkness. 8th house is something which is not seen. Mercury wants educated decision making. Mercury wants knowledge. So sometimes the information, the knowledge is missing in your decision making rather than the other way around. So when Mercury is in the 8th house from Saturn, your ability to able to overcome obstacle, challenges, problems is still there, but you want enough information to be able to take those decisions. So sometimes what happens when the emergency is upon you, quick decision making is needed. If Mercury is not so strong, then your practical, logical decisions may be curtailed and more emotional decisions may come in. However, this is a good planet for analysis, which means if your career is getting connected to finance, to accounts, to insurance, to banking, to IT, fantastic placement. This can give you very good gains. Now, Mercury 8th from Saturn, which means Saturn is 6th from Mercury. So, here Mercury is already in the house of obstacles. Saturn 6th house from Mercury, which means 6th house is the house of competition. So sometimes this may also attract problem from the people who you're working with, your colleagues and the people who work below you. So sometimes you may not be the most lucky in terms of who you're working with, who your colleagues are, who those people who are working in your team are, those people who report into you. Sometimes this can also be a placement where people will act behind your back, and you don't know who those people are. On the face of it, they're your friends, but they are always acting behind your back, and maybe they are not doing things to for your benefit. So overall, this is still a placement of obstacles or challenges, but this is one of the best placements to do research oriented work. A good placement where you are digging out information and you're using that to your advantage. So people who are working in the taxation department, people who are working in spy agencies, people who are working in IT, those people who are working in insurance, a fantastic placement overall if you are more career oriented and specifically connected to these areas.